I've been investing for a few years now, and over that time, I've certainly learned a lot. And if I could go back to the very start, I'd certainly do things differently. In this video, I'll tell you what I would buy, how I'd buy it, and the reasons for buying it. If you're new to all this, let's start with the two main reasons you want to start investing. That £5 note sat in your wallet is guaranteed to lose value over time. And that's due to something called inflation. Basically, the price of goods and services will gradually increase as time goes on. Take this Freddo, for example. Everyone's favourite frog. Sorry, Kermit. When I was a kid, this Freddo would cost me 10p. I remember it like it was yesterday. But if for some reason I thought, I want to save that 10p, I put it in a shoebox and then I took it out today to try and buy a Freddo, I'd have a slight problem. You see, this Freddo cost me 55p today. I know, boss man's proper rinsed me. But that reduction in our spending power is exactly what we used investing for, because it directly fights against it. The majority of people in the UK still keep the bulk of their cash in regular bank accounts. The average rate of inflation is about 2 to 3% a year, while the average bank account gives an interest rate of about 1 or 2%. Now, I'm no mathematician, but if inflation is growing faster than your savings, you're actually getting poorer. Investing directly pushes against that. Historically, the stock market's returned about 10% on average over the long term. That absolutely crushes the 1 or 2% you're currently getting from your bank. So now we've established why to invest, let's take a step back and look at the investing landscape. There's no point in diving headfirst into a pool when you don't even know how deep the water is. The Magnificent Seven. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard of a few of the companies I'm about to mention. Microsoft, Apple, Meta or Facebook, Amazon, Alphabet or Google, Nvidia and Tesla. It's no coincidence you've heard of these companies. They've ingrained themselves into our everyday living. It's hard to imagine going a whole day without scrolling on Instagram or using Amazon to order that last-minute birthday present that you blatantly forgot about. Over the past 5 years, these companies have produced incredible returns. In particular, Nvidia and Tesla have produced returns of 700 and 800% respectively. These 7 companies are commonly referred to as the Magnificent Seven. If we look at a popular fund for investors, the S&P 500, and don't worry, I'm going to explain what a fund is shortly, these 7 companies make up over 30% of the entire thing. That means for every £100 that you put into the S&P 500, which remember is the top 500 companies in America, over £30 goes straight to just 7 companies. Okay, I know what you're thinking. I'll just forget about the other 493 companies and go all in on the big winners. Makes perfect sense, right? Well, not so fast. Before you go all in, we actually need to take a step back and zoom out a little further. Now, there's no denying the incredible performance of the Magnificent Seven, but where were these companies 10 years ago? Well, if we go back to 2015, Apple, Google and Microsoft made up the top 3, while Amazon and Facebook rounded out the top 7 companies. But today's number 1 company, Nvidia, wasn't even close back then. Go back another 10 years to 2005 and things look completely different. Energy companies dominated. Companies like General Electric, ExxonMobil, BP and Shell, just to name a few. The point I'm trying to make is that doubling down on what's successful today is in itself a risky strategy. There's no guarantee that what's hot today is going to be successful in 10 or 20 years' time. The world is constantly changing. We've gone from sending paper letters to sending voice notes, playing out on the street with a neighbour to playing Fortnite with someone on the opposite side of the world. Who knows where we'll be in the next 10 or 20 years, but I guarantee you one thing, it's going to look a lot different to the way things do right now. One last point. By focusing on right now, you may miss the next big thing, and trying to identify what that next big thing is extremely difficult. Even the professionals get it wrong more often than not. But Ram, hold up. You just told us it's too risky to focus on what's successful today, and you have no idea what's going to be successful in the future. Yeah, that's right. And this is probably a good opportunity to outline what my personal strategy is. What I would focus on is an index, which is in essence a list of companies. And an index fund is a pot of money that buys the companies on that list. So that would be my starting point. I know I don't have the time or interest to pick out individual stocks or companies. And honestly, I don't want to miss out on the next Nvidia. So I want to invest into a fund that buys all the successful companies. That way, I get a slice of everyone's pie. Now comes the next question. What index fund do I buy? We've already discussed the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in America. You could go the FTSE 100, which is the top 100 companies here in the UK. You could go east and look at Japan, or maybe focus on an emerging market like India. Honestly, there are a ton of options. So which one should you choose? Or rather, should you limit yourself to just one? Like we discussed earlier, America's killing it at the moment. But just like we look back and we saw that individual companies can rise and fall from grace, the same thing can be said about countries. In the 1900s, the UK was a powerhouse in the global stock market due to its shipping and trading networks. In the 1970s and 80s, Japan shot to power post-World War II. They had sustained growth for almost 20 years based on quality manufacturing and technology, and at their peak, they even rivaled the US stock exchange. And now in 2026, America makes up over 60% of the global stock market. So basically, it's the same principle as my outlook on stocks. Sure, America looks great today, but who knows what country or sector will be driving humanity forward in the next 10 or 20 years. So what's my personal solution? I'll buy them all. And how am I going to do that, you ask? By investing in a low-cost global index fund, which, as you guessed it, spreads my money across the whole world. Think of it as a full body massage as to just focusing on your shoulders or your legs. You're making sure you've got all your bases covered. Maybe the most important part of this video is choosing the right account to hold my investments in. Because I'm investing for the long term, I want to make sure that that account is tax efficient. Here in the UK, that's a stocks and shares ISA account. It protects you from tax, meaning that any gains you make in your account are completely tax-free. Now I've decided what account I'm going to use, it's time to decide what platform I'm going to use to buy my global index fund. Now there are a ton of options out there, but to keep things simple, I'm just going to tell you what I use, and that's Trading 212. I'm not saying that's what you should use, but for my goals, which is investing for the long term, it suits my needs and there are no dealing fees on the platform. So there you have it. That's everything I would do if I were to start investing in 2026. Before you leave, let's just run through everything we've covered in the video. 1, I'm investing to protect against inflation and build wealth. 2, I'm doing that by buying a low-cost global index fund to make sure I'm not missing out on the next big thing. And 3, I'm using a stocks and shares ISA to make sure all my gains are tax-free. And as a final note, I want to leave you with a quote from arguably the greatest investor of all time, Warren Buffett. He said, "Most investors, both institutional and individual, will find the best way to own common stocks is through an index fund." Now, if you won't take it from me, listen to the GOAT himself. And if you're ready to start investing for the first time, I've made a step-by-step video on how to get started using Trading 212. But before you do that, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more practical tips on how to improve your financial life. Catch you in the next one, guys. 55p, you know. Tooth.